Germany, Bremen Solidarity Prize to Meseret Hadush, fighter for Tigray's raped women. Hiwott cares for victims of sexualized war crimes in Ethiopia's war-torn Tigray region. Now its founder is being honored in Germany. From TAZ, the daily newspaper, Germany, September 29, 2025, by Dominic Johnson. The war in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region between 2020 and 2022 was the deadliest in the world at the time. 600,000 people died, many as a result of the hunger blockade used by the Ethiopian government to isolate the rebellious region. Today, Tigray has been forgotten, overshadowed by Ukraine, Gaza, and Sudan. To break this oblivion, women's activist Meseret Hadush from Tigray was to be awarded the Bremen Solidarity Prize on Monday evening in Bremen. Bremen Mayor Andreas Bovenschulte, sexual violence against girls and women is one of the most abhorrent things we repeatedly observe in wars and civil wars. Alongside the physical wounds, which in the best-case scenario eventually heal, there are always much longer-lasting psychological traumas. That's why it's so essential to provide support to victims and to support healing on both levels to the best of our ability. This is precisely what Meseret Hadush and her organization are doing in an exemplary manner. In doing so, they are also making an important contribution to the long-term reconciliation of society in Ethiopia. Even the journey from Ethiopia to Germany for the award ceremony was risky, reports one of her friends. In Ethiopia, both former warring parties are now trying to destroy her organization. Meseret Hadush founded the women's rights organization Hiwott, which cares for the victims of sexualized war crimes in the Tigray War, the estimated 120,000 women who suffered brutal rape during the 2 years of war. Meseret Hadush experienced the war firsthand as a pianist and music lecturer at the university in Tigray's capital, Mekelle, where the musician, born in the city of Adigrat, graduated in 2001 and then stayed. Even as a music student and later as a music teacher, she made a name for herself as a campaigner for girls' rights against inhumane traditions, such as forced marriage to much older men. With the Tigray Idol competition, which she co-founded, she sought an alternative to cultural norms that hinder girls' free artistic development. Peace at the expense of the victims. The war that began in November 2020 changed everything in Tigray. Mekelle was first occupied by the Ethiopian army, then recaptured by Tigray's rebels, and finally returned to government control until both sides made peace in 2022. However, a widespread accusation is that this peace agreement is a fraternization of war criminals at the expense of the victims. In the midst of the war, Meseret Hadush mobilized fellow activists for women's self-help. This led to the creation of the Hiwott Tigray Charity Association after the war ended in 2023. Hiwott means healing in the Tigrinya language, and that's precisely what it's about, a world in which every woman and girl in Tigray can live a life free from fear, violence, and inequality, as the organization explains. As Hadush explained in an interview, Hiwott has so far been able to help around 6,000 survivors of sexualized war crimes in Mekelle, between the ages of 5 and 80. The organization documents crimes and provides medical care. 200 mothers have received initial support to help them reintegrate into society. Hiwott also provides educational work on other topics, including women's health and child marriage. The psychological impact is significant, says Hadush. The public, myself included, lives in trauma, often accompanied by denial and avoidance of reality. Hadush is repeatedly subjected to hostility. In 2023, she was briefly arrested in Addis Ababa while trying to organize a workshop there. Hiwott has also not been spared police attacks. Renewed tensions in Tigray this year have reduced the willingness of the diaspora to donate. In Germany, where sexual violence has been recognized as a reason for asylum for refugee women from Tigray, Meseret Hadush now hopes to be heard more widely.